I bet you didn't know some tequila producers cheat when making tequila. How? They use additives. And we're talking about that right here on the Tequila Hombre next. In the first episode of this series, we talked about the ingredients and the processes used in making tequila. We talked about the good processes and the not so good processes. Well, what happens when a producer is not careful about the ingredients they use, or the processes they use, or opt to use the not so good processes when creating their tequila? Well, they use additives to fix them. So, according to the norma, or the rules that govern tequila production, tequila producers can put additives into their tequila and not include it on the label, even if it's 100% agave, if they do not exceed 1% of the total volume that they're producing. So the first additive we're going to talk about is syrups. Producers typically add syrups to their tequila to sweeten them. So as basis for these syrups, they'll typically use agave nectar, they'll use corn syrup, cane sugar, aspartame, stevia, and sucralose, or as we know it, Splenda. They can also add fruits and herbs to these syrups to add different nose characteristics, smells, as well as different flavor characteristics to the tequila. One example is you often find them using vanilla as an additive to these syrups, since vanilla is an ingredient or a flavor that you can identify in a tequila that's been aged in a wooden barrel. The next additive that we'll talk about is glycerin. Now, glycerin is a natural byproduct of fermentation and distillation. And what they do with glycerin is they'll add it to the tequila to increase the mouthfeel to a thin tequila. So if it comes out kind of watery, they'll add glycerin to give it that oily, creamy mouthfeel that many people prefer in their tequilas, including myself. The next additive that we'll talk about is caramel coloring. And caramel coloring is added to enhance the visual beauty of the tequila, to give it that golden brown color that you normally will see in a properly aged tequila. The addition of caramel coloring, though, can also add some bitterness to the flavor of the tequila. The last additive that we'll talk about is oak extract. And it basically is exactly what it sounds like. It's extract that is added to the tequila to give it the same flavor as if it had been aged in oak. So typically it has that woody, oaky taste to it. And it's a good way to take a tequila that doesn't taste as aged as it should be and make it actually taste older than it actually is. A lot of actuallys there. Now, these additives that I discussed are added typically at the end of the process. So after production has been done, before it goes to bottling, they'll add these extracts, and they do it for one of multiple reasons. They want to make their tequila taste better. They want to hide some deficiencies that came from their process or the ingredients they use. For example, if they used immature agave in the process. But they also will use it to keep a balanced product and a consistent product every time they produce a batch. They want their flavors to taste consistently, and the only way they can do that is either really try to duplicate the process exactly the same time or same way every time, or they can use additives to make the flavor profile taste the same all the time as well. Does that make sense? So when I first started purchasing tequila, I actually bought a few bottles of tequila that had additives in them. And I didn't know any better at the time. I just knew they were sweet and they tasted good. And basically the way I found these tequilas is when I went into a store when I was in Cabo vacationing, the guy that owned the store basically said, here's some really good tequilas. And we tasted them. They tasted sweet and good. And so I figured, well, these are really super good tequilas. Only to find out when I tried some real natural producing tequilas that these weren't so good tasting tequilas. And the naturally produced tequila tastes a lot better to me, a lot more balanced. So some of the big offenders out there, well, Don Julio 1942 is a big one that uses additives in their tequila to sweeten it up and make it more palatable, and make it more valuable for people to want to pay the expensive price tag that's on it. Another one, yeah, Clase Azul. This is really super sweet and syrupy. Additives in this one as well. Also, premium price tag on this. So when you're looking at tequila, you get a taste of this, you'll notice just how sweet and syrupy it is. Another one that's very popular, especially in the tourist tequila shops, and you'll see it in a lot of the stores and stuff now too, is Cava de Oro. Yeah, I like this one when I first got it. It's very caramelly, super sweet and syrupy. But when you actually try a naturally produced tequila, it is a lot better tasting than this. It's not as sweet. It's more balanced. You get a lot more flavors from it. This is mostly just syrupy sweetness. And that's not what tequila is supposed to taste like. Some other ones out there that I have and that you can find are Don Cayo. Also syrupy and sweet. It's got added caramel flavoring to it. It also has syrupy sweet thickness on it. Overpoweringly sweet. You don't get any of the agave or any of the other softer flavors that you should get in a naturally aged and naturally produced tequila. Another one I found too is this one called Supremo. It's only available in Mexico right now, but it also is additives in it. It's super sweet and syrupy. It would taste great on pancakes, but not so much in my tequila glass. So if you want a good tequila, naturally produced tequila, and you see this one, don't buy it. Another one too that I find to be super sweet, I believe they use additives. They'll never admit to it, but it tastes like it, is this Tres Mujeres 1953 Special Tequila Edition. You can find this in Mexico as well. This one is very sweet, syrupy, and also has a caramel, like extreme caramel and vanilla flavoring to it. You don't get much of the agave flavoring and other nuances that you'll get from a naturally produced tequila. Okay, so now you're probably saying, well, Tequila Hombre, you told me about all the ones I should avoid. What about the ones I don't have to worry about? Well, some tequilas out there that you could buy and confidently know that they do not use additives is anything from the Don Fulano line, anything from Fuente Seca. Also, Fortaleza will never use additives, and their tequila is amazing tasting. G4 Tequila is another great brand. Corazon de Agave never uses additives, and their tequila tastes great as well. And even San Matias Ground Reserva is a good one that they don't use additives in. And there's a bunch of other brands out there that, and I've got lots of them on my shelf, that do not add additives and have that natural flavor. Matter of fact, I did a review of Don Sueños, and they used no additives in theirs, and their production, the ways they use to produce it, is right on. So that's a very solid tequila, and if you can find Don Sueños somewhere, or if you shop at Old Town Tequila, you can pick it up there as well. That is a solid tequila and will give you a good understanding of what a solid tequila tastes like. Suerte is another brand I enjoy a lot as well, and they don't use additives either there, as well as Siembra Azul is a good brand to look for when going into the store. Well, that's all I have for you today on additives in this episode. Please, if you have any questions about additives or what tequilas may use them or what tequilas don't, or any questions whatsoever, please feel free to comment below. Don't forget to click subscribe if you're new to the channel so you can get notifications when our new videos come out. We have one coming out really soon too on mixtos, and it gives you information about how to identify mixtos. So make sure you subscribe. Thank you for visiting us and watching, and we look forward to seeing you here next time. Remember, life is too short to drink bad tequila.